Hello, everyone. This is Independent Conservative. Thank you all for joining me once again. So what I want to talk about in this video is pop legend Elton John putting on some kind of a quest, if you will, to try to get people in the LGBT community to fight back. Yeah, he wants people to fight. I just read this article. He wants those in the LGBT community to fight back because right now things are a little too quiet for him. As a matter of fact, Elton John and his husband made these statements. Now, this is not a video to critique Elton John's music. I'm not talking about Elton John's music. As a matter of fact, I've loved many of his songs. His songs are awesome. He's an awesome singer. But what I want to critique in this video is the fact that he's talking about getting the LGBT community together to fight back this month. And he uses the term hostility. You know, in other words, it seems to me, based on what I've read in this article from Breitbart News, that he wants those in the gay community to be hostile. You need to fight back because we are basically, and I'm paraphrasing his words, we are basically, those of us in the LGBT community, we're basically under attack. A lot of the things that we want are being no longer being funded or financed. And have you all noticed that it is kind of quiet among them, right? I think I said this before, but it is kind of quiet among them. I mean, I don't even think here in the city of Cleveland, I haven't heard of any efforts to conduct a Pride Month parade or any of that. I mean, it might still be, but I haven't heard anything about it. Nobody's saying anything about it. As a matter of fact, one of my coworkers from a new job that I'm on, a new security job, who's openly gay, told me, he's a cool guy. I mean, we get along well, cool guy. But he told me that, you know, he's going to, I think, Los Angeles. He's going to Los Angeles in June, right? Which we are in June now. He's going to Los Angeles, and he's talking about, hey, if I get married over there, I'm gonna get married over there. I guess in Los Angeles they're having a pride parade. I don't know, but based on what I'm seeing and based on what I've read from Elton John, it seems to me that a gay co-worker that was talking to me about this is kind of like bothered by it himself, and so he wants to go somewhere else where he may feel more free to express himself. Now he's just visiting. He says he's just visiting. He just visited, going on vacation there or whatever for a few days, and he's coming back. Yeah, okay. But however way, you know, hey, that's your life, man. Do what you're gonna do. But my point is this: it has been kind of quiet. It has been kind of quiet among the alphabet. I'm gonna say alphabet community because trying to say that LGBTQ, it's a tongue tie. I already have a lips, so I ain't going to keep saying that. Okay, the alphabet community. It has been pretty quiet. And Elton John and his husband wants to put on this initiative to kind of rouse things up, right, for the month of June. He's basically saying that, once again, that their endeavors, such as these gay pride parades and stuff, are not being financed. And then he makes a statement in the article. He says that those in the alphabet community are being criminalized. But when he says those in the alphabet community are being criminalized, I ask myself, in what way? In what way are people in that community being criminalized? And then I thought about it. The only individuals that are being, quote unquote, criminalized in the alphabet community is transgenders, or teachers rather, and teachers and professors pushing that agenda onto the students. That could be what you would call being criminalized. And should it be? Yes, because there's no way on God's green earth, because this is God's earth. Satan may rule it at this point, but his rule will end eventually. There's no way on God's green earth that any teacher, any adult teacher, should be pushing or teaching any of this kind of nonsense in the schools, whether it's in post-graduation school, post-educational schools, in colleges or whatever, or whether it's in preschools, or especially the preschools. They really was pushing that stuff hard prior to the Trump administration, during a Biden administration, they really was pushing that kind of stuff very, very, very hard. There's no excuse at all or no reason at all why the teachers in these schools should be pushing this kind of provocative material on vulnerable minds. That's where the whole concept of grooming came up to somebody, or at least the concept of grooming was focused on more during that time, was because that's what it seemed like. And in my personal opinion, I think that's what it was. From a higher level, it was all about grooming these young kids and confusing these young kids with this whole sexuality stuff. That was what it was all about. But since Trump has got back in office, and I've said it before, but since Trump has been in office, it's kind of went underground. This is a problem for Elton John. This is a problem for his husband. And I find it interesting that someone like Elton John, a world-renowned singer, would have anything to say about this. I mean, it's almost like he's putting himself in the same field that Robert De Niro put himself in when he just went bat crazy for the liberal establishment and just started. I mean, I don't know if the virus was hanging around him or whatever, but the Trump derangement syndrome really attacked him, and he just went butt crazy over his hatred towards Trump. I mean, it just went to the point where I read post after post after post after post of people and looking at different clips of his former movies like Heat and so forth, basically saying, man, I don't even like Robert De Niro anymore because he just went crazy with his political views. It seems to me Elton John is putting himself in that same boat with this idea of, those in the alphabet community need to be more hostile. We need to push more. We need to push out more because we're being criminalized and we're being marginalized and so forth. And I don't think that's the issue at all. I don't think you're being criminalized except for the nutbags out here, these freaky people out here. Them the ones that are being criminalized, and they need to be because they're sick, okay? But I don't think that's the issue, brother Elton John. I don't think that's the issue at all. Where they at right now? Well, those in the alphabet community are right now is how it should have been to begin with. Because wasn't it supposed to be, okay, we just want to, at the beginning of all of this, during the 1960s, when they were trying to do this gay rights push and all this kind of stuff, what was supposedly the initial goal? Supposedly the initial goal during the 1960s counterculture revolution, in terms of the sexual revolution, which was a sub part of the revolution, was to allow gay people to marry who they wanted to marry. That was what it was all about, right? Okay, so that was legislated, and now you have some states now you had some states that permitted it to happen. All right, they permitted it to happen, and it's like, okay, we got it, boom, but it was still kind of underground, Okay, fine. In my opinion, that's how it should have stayed. It should have stayed that way. It shouldn't have been, okay, we're going to push this on the kids in the schools. We're going to have it. We're going to have TV shows and movies and commercials with men and women slobbing on each other. And I'm not talking about men. I'm talking about men on men slobbing on and kissing each other in commercials. Women and men kissing each other in TV shows. I mean, what was that one horror show came on? I forget where it came out. I think it was, I don't know if it was AEC or Shudder. I forget what came on, what streaming service that's sponsored it. But the Chucky series, the Chucky series. I love the Chucky franchise, the movie franchise. Love it. It's one of my favorite franchises. They decided to do a series. They decided to do a series. Cool. Awesome. But you know what messed that up for me personally? Was when they had the main character, which was a boy, the main character being gay. And it's like, why would you have an underage child living that life? Why would you have that? And then there was one particular scene that really complete. So I said, okay, they're going to have this. Hopefully they won't focus on this boy and this gay lifestyle. Hopefully they won't focus on all of that. Right. But I'm just shortening the strokes here. Right. I'm just shortening the words here. But one particular scene kind of threw me off because because at one point I was like, well, I'll go ahead and watch it. Maybe I can get past all the nonsense because I want to see Chucky. I want to see what this is going to be about. And then I forget what episode it was, But the young boy is at home and there's a knock on the door. The door opens up, it's his boyfriend, and then they start kissing or whatever. They just grab each other and start. And I was like, this it. Or at least that's what they looked like they were starting to do. I didn't wait long enough. I just completely, when I saw them grab each other and started, I just completely turned it off. I said, you know what? That's it for me. That's it for me. That has nothing to do with Chucky or the lore of Chucky or any of that. Why would they even do that? You see what I'm saying? Pushing this kind of stuff onto the audience. Nobody wanted to see that then, and nobody wants to see it now. Those in the alphabet community wanted to see it, but everybody didn't want to see that. And I personally believe that that's the reason why I was took off, in my opinion. And I believe that was the reason why I took us, because it was turning people off. Nobody cared about that. Nobody cared about the relationship that boy had with his gay friend. Nobody cared about that. The general heterosexual community did not care about that, okay? They didn't. And you got to give people what they want. And they didn't want that, in my opinion. That's why the show was took off, in my opinion. But my point is simply this. All of that type of that mentality, rather, is no longer around. You hardly hear anything about it. And this is a problem for Elton John. So I don't know what all the details of what he plans on doing with this initiative that him and his husband wants to push. But in my personal opinion, I don't think taxpayers should be paying, or the government rather, should be taking taxpayers' money against their will to pay for gay prides, gay pride parades, and anything that has to do with that community when they themselves are not that way. It's simple. It's simple. It's simple. It's not brain surgery. You take my money. I'm a heterosexual. You take my money, government, forcefully take my money that you take out of my check, and then you take that money and you put it into a gay pride parade. I didn't ask for that, for you to do that. You didn't ask me, hey, Ryan, hey, Mr. Bowling, hey, sir, could we take some of your money and contribute to the gay pride parade? You didn't ask me. And had they asked me, I would have said, no, I don't agree with that lifestyle. That's not what I support. Because I guarantee you, if it had been the other way around, these nutbag government officials would have rejected me. That is wrong and it's unfair. And what I'm hearing is that a lot of these cities and states and stuff, I said, we're not going to finance this stuff anymore because it's not economically viable anymore. It's not economically viable, so we're not going to supplement this. I was reading one particular article. I didn't read the whole article, but it was saying, I think it was Target or one of them other main retail stores, where they are cutting their financing for the alphabet community wearing attire. You know, at one point during the Biden administration, they were selling all kinds of stuff for kids and stuff, you know, just disgusting stuff. Selling clothes for boys who wanted to be girls. They would sell, I forget what they call them. They're selling these pants or these undergarments that would squeeze their, you know what, to make it look like they no longer have one. If you understand what I'm saying. I forget what they call it. And they would literally sell it. Many of these retail stores were literally selling this kind of disgusting stuff to children. And this is the America that we was living in at one point. Now, it may not be all that right now, but it certainly wasn't as grimy as it was under the Biden administration. But no one wants to talk about that. No one wants to talk about how grimy it was under the Biden administration. You want to know why? A couple of reasons. Number one, the mainstream liberal communist media covered it up. And number two, under the Biden administration and under all these Democrats, they were too busy. The public was too busy slobbering off of all the handouts that the government was giving, number one. And secondly, slobbering over the fact that the government was saying, you know what, you guys don't have to pay your student loans anymore. We're going to put that on hold because you guys are suffering right now. You're struggling. Okay. And we're going to put that on hold. You don't have to pay that. So people was overwhelmed with the fact that they didn't have to pay their student loans anymore, you know, at least for a while, because, you know, we're under financial pressure. Right. So the public in general was drooling off of those things, while at the same time under the Biden administration, they were encouraging and pushing this debased sexuality on our children and on our public. It was everywhere. And anyone that's watched this video, you know I'm telling the truth. It was everywhere. You couldn't get away from it. It was terrible. Absolutely terrible. And I'm the kind of person, I'm like this, even as a Christian, to each his own. Live your own life. If you're a consenting adult, hey, live your own life. Like I said, I've worked around people in that live their lifestyle. I've worked around them. They didn't bother me. I didn't bother them. And they would talk to me and I talked to them. So, but I don't swing like that. Okay. What I get ticked off at is when the government and others try to push that on me and push it on the public and push it specifically on children. That's sick, it's disgusting, and it's wrong. There's no way of justifying it. And anybody that justifies that, ain't no reason, we ain't no need of us talking. Get away from me, because you a devil and you on your way to hell. Period. If you don't repent, you're going straight to hell. That's where you're going. Well, I don't believe in hell. Okay, fine. Die and see what happens. If you die, I hope you come back as a reincarnated person or goat or chimpanzee or whatever, so you can tell me, Mr. Bud, hell don't exist. That's false. Okay. The only way you're going to find that out is if you die. Okay. Okay. I know that sounds harsh, but it's the truth. That's the kind of stuff that I'm talking about. So this whole thing that Elton John is talking about, all right, okay, you can go ahead and say that if you want to, but I think Elton John, the point is right now is that the zeitgeist, the spirit that's going on right now, the attitude right now is we're not financing that anymore. And I'm gonna be honest with you, and I'm gonna wrap this up. I believe a vast majority of Americans never supported that lifestyle to begin with. But the only reason why a lot of them were and are hush hush about it is because they was being threatened to get canceled if they didn't agree with the lifestyle, they didn't like the lifestyle, or agree with the lifestyle. They was being threatened to be canceled. All this kind of stuff, lose their job. I mean, all kinds of crazy stuff that people in general, tolerated because they didn't want to get canceled. But now there's someone in office, as imperfect as he may be, now that there's someone in office who's an actual alpha male, is, I would say, pushing a alpha male mentality. That spirit, that alphabet community spirit is being suppressed. And now what people really wanted from their hearts is starting to come out. You don't see any heterosexual complaining and saying, man, how come they're not having a gay pride parade, pride parade rather? How come they're not having it? You don't hear any heterosexual saying that. Why? Because they more than likely wasn't in support of it to begin with. Most of them say, live your life the way you want to live your life. That's on you. But when I come downtown, I don't want to see all that stuff. Men twerking and all this. Don't nobody want to see that. Don't nobody want to see that, man. Come on, stop. Stop it. Unless you that way, yeah. But if you're not that way, nobody wants to see that. So that's what I think the issue is. And Elton John, to each his own, like I said, I got great respect for him as a musician. But right here, I have to disagree with his assessment of this idea of the alphabet community being criminalized and all that. No, that's not being criminalized. The only people that's being criminalized is the freaky ones that's pushing that agenda on the children. And in that sense, they need to be criminalized, okay? So, yeah, that's my word on it. What do you guys think? Leave your comments on the comment section. Like, share, and subscribe to my channel. God bless you all. See you again.